Hey guys, Danny here. Today we are looking at another drone. This is the Visuo ZEN K1. This product was sent to me for review, and as always, if you want to pick it up, I'll put a link down in the description for you. You'll see it doesn't actually come with a box. Instead it comes in this handy storage box, which is actually really nice quality. It's got a nice handle and you could attach a strap to this as well. Now the drone does have some interesting specs. It is foldable and it's going for the design of a DJI MAVIC, which of course is a pretty popular design with a lot of these foldable drones. And on my first impressions, I was really happy with the look and feel of this drone. It has a nice weight to it, and you can see here it does have a very compact design, which I really love because it just makes carrying these drones around so much easier, especially if you have something like a backpack or you're going for a walk and you just want to get some cool pictures with one of these drones. It's definitely a nice feature to have. As you would expect, this drone supports recording to a micro SD. However, the micro SD slot is placed in a bit of a weird place, which makes it a little bit frustrating to take the card in and out. It records from this adjustable camera on the front. It is motorized and can be adjusted using the controller. The folding arm system feels very robust. The arms lock into place very securely. They actually feel slightly tight. When I first took this drone out of its case, I thought I was going to break the arms if I pulled them any harder, but they're just very sturdy, as you can see. We do get brushless motors with this model and a image and control transmission range stated at 500 meters, but I'll be testing that further when I do my flight test. Another small point worth noting, because there isn't any feet on the rear arms of the drone, it does have a little bit of a wobble when you place it on the ground, but this doesn't cause you any problems in actual use. The detachable battery which comes with this drone is 2500 mAh, which is a pretty respectable size and should give us a decent flight time. On the specifications for the product, it states a 28-minute flight time, but you normally get under that. That's a very optimistic guess by the manufacturer. There is options to pick up multiple batteries when you purchase this drone, which I would recommend, as it does have a very long charging time of 4.5 hours even on a 2-amp USB slot, so please bear that in mind. The controller is the same as the last Visuo drone that I tested. It has a built-in phone holder which is sturdy and should support most phones as long as they're not huge and in a case, but most of you will be fine. The controller itself feels good quality. It's labeled and has buttons on the back for photos, video, a speed adjustment for the drone, and also one to adjust the motorized camera. I like the compact design of this controller, and the control sticks feel really nice and responsive. And on to the flight test, what most of you have probably been waiting for. The drone and controller were very easy to pair up, and I've put the Wi-Fi feed in the bottom left of the screen. Like most of the previous drones I've tested, when you adjust the camera you get this really annoying beep, and there doesn't seem to be a way to turn it off. I wish the manufacturers would remove this. It lets you know that the camera is actually being adjusted, but it's pretty annoying. As you'd expect, the app displays a lot of useful information. You also have a little screen on the controller that you're holding which displays some information as well, such as your altitude and distance. Although I didn't have any problems with this app, in general it wasn't one of the best I've used. I just seemed to have quite a few problems getting features turned on and off and reading the on-screen settings. It just seemed a little bit more complicated than it should have been, and I've definitely used more simple user-friendly apps, but this one does get the job done. The drone hovered really nice and steady in place when I took my hands off of the control, so the GPS function was working really well here. It did have a very responsive Wi-Fi feed, but I did find the controls a little bit janky at times. Now I know that's not a real word, but I don't really know how to describe it. There just seemed as if there was a slight delay in my control input, and it just didn't always feel as responsive as it should at times, but it wasn't terrible enough that I couldn't control the drone. A common feature in these GPS drones is an option for the drone to circle you on the position from where you're standing, but on this one I just couldn't get it to work. This could have been user error. I probably didn't read the manual properly, but the options just seemed a little bit confusing, and there seemed to be a manual control element involved where you would have to maneuver the drone and it would circle itself, which I didn't really understand. Most drones that I've used, you simply tick the circling option, you hit submit, and away it goes. Next I tried out the drone's follow me mode. I tried this twice and it seemed to work okay, but it was a little bit confused to my actual positioning, so I think the GPS was slightly off. This can be dependent on how many satellites you're connected to and the accuracy of that signal. So it was keeping me in shot here, but I noticed when I turned the feature on, the drone would pan like it thought I was in a different location, but it did keep up with me fairly well and kept me in the shot just about. So this feature does work, but it can depend on the accuracy of your GPS signal. Adjustable cameras seem to be the next must-have thing in these drones, which I think is a good feature to have because it just makes them a lot more enjoyable to use. These are camera drones after all, so most of you will probably be using these to get some cool shots. Having the adjustable camera just makes this so much easier. Like this one, for example, if you want to take the drone up above you and get a downward facing shot, it's pretty easy to do. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering if you're checking out this review because of the specs you read online. The zoom that this drone has, is it optical? And it's not, it's all digital, so the quality is pretty bad when you actually zoom in, but it's still cool that it's there, but you're not going to get any good quality shots using it. You may have noticed there I was also starting to get a toilet bowl effect, which is where the drone starts to circle in on itself, and this can be an issue with calibration. So I decided to land the drone and recalibrate it, but unfortunately this didn't help. This seemed to be happening when I took the drone to a higher altitude and there was a bit more wind, so it was a little bit worrying that this was happening, but as I said, I couldn't actually manage to correct this, which is a real shame. After recalibrating the drone and taking off, I decided to do a little range test. Now, according to the specs, this drone has a maximum control distance and image transmission distance of 500 meters, which is pretty high, and I didn't want to take it to the maximum distance because this would mean I would take it completely out of line of sight, but nonetheless I did a mini range test instead and took it just over 100 meters, and you will see that the Wi-Fi feed held up really nicely the whole time, and the quality of the feed is pretty good too, so thumbs up for that definitely. After the range test, I hit the return to home button, and it didn't give me an option to return to the takeoff position or my current position. It simply just returned to me, so I'm assuming it automatically goes to where you took the drone off from. This is where I had more problems with the toilet bowl effect. You'll see looking at the Wi-Fi feed, as soon as the drone gets close to my position, it seems to hold its altitude and just start to circle in on itself. It did this both times I used the return to home feature, which was very worrying. The longer I left it, the worse this toilet bowl effect got. As soon as I turned off the return to home and took manual control of the drone myself, this issue seemed to go away completely, so it was really strange to me. I've never had this happen before with any drone I've been using. I've only had it in one situation, and that was just from letting the drone hover. So why this does this when using some of the GPS features, I'm not sure. Gestures are also supported. You can do this hand sign to get the drone to take a picture of you. You do have to have an option enabled on the app for this to work. There is also some other gestures. One of them will start video recording. So while gimmicky, it is kind of cool to have this little feature. This is a good time to talk about the camera of this drone, and it is actually pretty respectable. It is able to take some reasonably sharp, well lit photos. This wasn't a super bright day, but the images still came out nice and bright, and I think they really aren't too bad for this drone. I think they're probably even slightly better than the video quality, and it is a bit of a shame you get this circle around the image, but you could edit this out afterwards if you really wanted to. And the propellers are in shot too, but you could of course adjust the camera downwards and that would fix that issue. I was a little bit disappointed, however, with the video quality that this camera puts out. I was hoping for better, considering this drone comes in at about 140 to 150 pounds at the time of recording, so this isn't a cheap drone, so I would have liked some better video quality, but it isn't bad, and it's probably one of the better that I've used. Of course, I'm comparing this on the drones that I've reviewed so far on this channel and the price that they were at. I'm sure some of you may agree with me or disagree. Always let me know in the comments what you think of the video quality and how the drone performed overall. I'll always do my best to reply to you. My total flight time was 21 minutes, which is pretty far off of the specification this drone is sold with, which is a bit disappointing, but 21 minutes isn't a bad time. It's actually not bad for a drone of this size. So when we take the battery life, camera quality and image and control distance into consideration and look at this product as a whole package, I think it isn't bad for its price, but I think it's getting up there with being a little bit more expensive than I think it's worth. But some of you may disagree or agree with me. This video is just to help you make a decision. But in regards to some of the GPS issues I had with this drone, I would recommend checking out some more reviews before you pick this up, just to make sure this was an issue I had with my unit alone and it's not something that all of these drones are going to have, because I think that's probably what it is, but I can't be for certain. As always, if you'd like to pick up this product, I will put a link down in the description for you. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And of course, I will see you in the next one.